We got off that bus, 92 bus, rode that from Fisher's Landing to Mill Plain, changed from a 34 to 92. I'm in Washougal. And I will return to talking more about this Washougal area later, but first I'm going to cross over here and go to the Wildlife Refuge. You can see from that sign there, welcome to Washougal. This is the parking lot. This might not be my favorite place to cross a highway. This is Steigerwald Lake, National Wildlife Refuge. And we've been to other National Wildlife Refuges before, quite a few of them. The interesting thing about this is, as you can see, this is kind of like in a suburban or town location. But when we get close to the Columbia, there will be a lot of nature, or at least that's what I'm hoping. Been here for a while, but it looks different. And I haven't been here for almost 10 years or so. So we have a bridge here, so we're going to walk down to where we can see the Columbia River. Then we're going to walk along that for a while. Don't know how far we're going to go, but I do have all day, so I might go all the way. The other thing I should mention from that map is that adjoining this, if we go back that way, there is a city or county park that's more like a normal recreational park as opposed to a federal wildlife refuge. And also, let's see if we have a restroom that's open. So we just climbed up a little embankment, and now we're walking on a gravel path. And you can see that way, that's towards Troutdale, and that's the bluffs over Troutdale. And then as you go this direction, mountains get higher and higher as you go into the Columbia River Gorge. And just east of Washougal is kind of what I consider the entrance to the Columbia River Gorge, where you start getting sheer rocky walls on either side for a while. It's also a sunny day, brisk. Don't know if you can hear the wind through the microphone, but yeah, there is a nice breeze blowing. Actually kind of nippy. And I haven't seen a lot of people here. I think I've passed 4 or 5 people, and that makes sense. This is a wildlife refuge, so it's not like super touristic, but there are some people out enjoying it. You can see over in that direction at the north end of the wildlife refuge, the train's going, a freight train, but that is the train tracks we would be going down if we were taking the Empire Builder eastward, which we have done several times. So we're following this until we reach the river. One thing to mention, and this is pretty obvious, the terrain here is not natural. Like, this is obviously some type of artificial dike or embankment. And I don't know how modified it is, but most national wildlife refuges I've been to have had some alteration of the terrain to make it more better habitat for animals. So I believe, looking down that way, that is the Columbia River. And the reason it doesn't look like much is right beyond it, you can see a shore. That is an island. I believe that is Reed Island, which is a state park, which is only accessible by water. And that's why we have this narrow channel. And then on the other side of it is the main body of the Columbia, which is a pretty big river. We are here. There's a little lake that goes around seasonally closed, and we came in from there. So I'll probably walk to either one or other of the Dragonfly or Lamprey bridges, then I'll turn around and probably go back through the county park is my plan right now. I have to say right now I haven't been overwhelmed by the amount of wildlife. And then you see also what looks to be like invasive plants or, standard disturbed ground plants. And, that is what it is, but a lot of times with something like this, the areas that are actually the best for wildlife don't look super scenic and stuff like that. So that there, for example, looks like Himalayan blackberry, which is invasive, and it looks like they've tried to remove it, and good luck with that. And then here, that also looks like tansy, which they also probably tried to remove, and also good luck with that. So yeah, this is disturbed area, and probably actually having a pretty wide trail that a lot of people are going on. You know, even if they did get rid of some of those invasive plants, they're going to come back just because people are going to carry them when you have a lot of foot traffic. Here we're getting a clearer view of the river and then the Columbia River Gorge. It also looks like the Reed Island is subsiding, and so we might get to see the open river all the way across. We have a good view of a great blue heron flying, and they're flying at kind of a leisurely pace. That's a bird I haven't seen for a while. They do have the great egret in the great white egret in Costa Rica, but I did not remember ever seeing a blue heron there. Blue heron. Well, the path has turned down into this little dip. It's dipped into the dip, and just following it where it will go. And I am looking to those two bridges, and that's where I'm going to turn around. Also, you might have noticed somebody bicycling. I've noticed several people bicycling and jogging. When I came in, there was a sign that said, you know, no bicycling, no jogging, because it's a wildlife refuge. Maybe that doesn't apply to that path, or maybe that's just one of the rules that people don't particularly follow. Yeah, that's kind of normal. And that actually goes back to what I was saying, like compared to McKinney or Ankeny, there's going to be a lot less, or there's going to be a lot more people here because this is a, you know, near a city, and it's adjoining like a city park. So it does kind of have a different vibe than other wildlife refuges. Okay, we're coming to a little division here. Our Wildlife Art Trail, which is also closed ahead seasonally, including right now. And then this goes another 1 1/4 or 1 1/5 miles. But I think I'm going to cross this bridge and then go to the next bridge and then turn around and not follow it towards its end. And this, incidentally, is the Dragonfly Bridge. I love pedestrian bridges. There's another common invasive plant, carrot. Strangely enough, and I think I talked about this in Costa Rica, a commercially grown plant in Costa Rica, but not one that grows wild. So I'm seeing a lot of that. Then also, we have some type of poplar, which makes sense because we have these large poplar stands. And so we have seedlings as well. And then some of this stuff definitely looks like it was planted as part of like a revegetation effort. And there, it looks like there's another bridge over there, so that's where we're going to go, and we're going to turn around there. You can see, at first I thought it was just a cloud, but looking over those hills, that is Mount Hood, which normally looks a lot more prominent, but as we get closer to it, it's actually easier to hide it behind other hills. And right here is the Lamprey Bridge, and I believe the path actually continues past here for a while. One reason I'm not going past here is that I don't just have to walk there, I have to walk back. I actually have some other things planned to see today, so I'm just kind of I'm going to stop here. This is a bridge over water. Well, let's see what we can see here. Doesn't appear to be anything really obvious, but maybe I just need to look longer, like maybe there are turtles sunning themselves and I just can't see them down there. One other thing to say, so right after we leave Washougal, we see this line of rocks, and this is basically the beginning of the Cascade Range, so to speak, and this narrows it down, and then you have the Columbia River Gorge, and that's also kind of the end of Clark County. The train enters a tunnel here, and then past there you have Skamania County, which is a very nice place, but is very different. There's 10,000 people in all of Skamania County compared to like 500,000 people in Clark County. And that's also one thing to say. This is a really nice local little wildlife refuge, and it's interesting to see a wildlife refuge so close to a town. But if you look in that direction, you have all of the Mount Hood National Forest, you have the Gifford Pinchot, you have the Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument, you have the Mount Hood Wilderness. You have a lot of nature to go and see. So something like this, even though it's really nice to, have a tranquil little walk through a natural area, compared to some of the stuff you can access really easily from here, this is not the most spectacular thing in the world. There we see actually two of our old friends, two great white egrets flying on a beautiful day. One thing I've mentioned a lot is that walks back can be longer or shorter than the walks there. And this one seems to be about the same length back, but still have a ways to go, so this might actually get tiring at some point. One thing I should mention about today's walk, and it goes for the next two places I'm going after this is all in logic. So when I look at this path ahead of me, I've walked every mile between here and the Amazon headwaters in Eugene. This is all just one road for me. Now within that, walking from Vancouver to here, or to the nearest place that connects me, I've only done that once. I've been to Camas and Washougal and walked around a couple times, but I've only connected it once, but it is still within logic. So one thing I think about on walks like this is, what story am I telling myself? And, watching, you don't have to tell yourself the same story. And when I first got here, it was kind of like, oh, I've entered a magical realm, because I'd been on the bus for a while, and I exit suburbia, and I'm in this natural place. I'm going to find Tom Bombadil here. Then as I walk longer, it seems more like kind of a suburban recreation park than a natural wilderness place. I don't know, maybe it's just when I came here and stuff, and my memories of when I went here before was that it was more natural and cozy. And today it's something else. And I suspect that is because the last time I was here, which again was 10 years ago or so, I might have taken this trail that went through the woods and felt, a little bit more solitude, as opposed to just this wide path. And the reason I didn't take this trail today is that it was partially closed, so I can't follow it all the way. So I just took this trail, and I'm walking back, and I will look on the map to see if this is the majority of the trip. So indeed, I walked a little bit more than a mile to get to the Lamprey Bridge to here, and now it's just a quarter mile. And I walked in along that 3/4 mile trail, but I'm going to walk out Captain William Clark Park in this direction. So I'll skip some of the stuff I saw coming in, see something new. Well, we just passed that junction. As you can see, there's buildings over here, so we're already drawing close to the end of the National Wildlife Refuge. Although, this path might continue for a while, but I think we're kind of ending the natural part of the nature. Okay, so I was a big, dumb, judgmental, wrong person. This is a multi-use trail. I guess it's just these connecting trails that are not for bicycles or dogs or horses. One thing to note is that it is late April and it's pretty warm out. The days are certainly long, but the height of spring is still not here, and I've noticed that mostly not a lot of flowers and not a lot of pollinators, and this area might feel a little bit different when you have more flowers blooming and bees buzzing around. And I'm a little surprised that hasn't started in earnest yet, but apparently it hasn't. So that is not part of nature, but I do like trains. And of course the thing about Washougal is that these can load up and get on the train and go all the way to Chicago. So we do have an industrial area right outside National Wildlife Refuge. I'll probably talk more about that in the Washougal video, which will be the next video to come up. So right here at the parking lot is the technical border of the National Wildlife Refuge. So today I got something a little bit different than I was expecting or I was remembering, because I remembered it being a little bit more natural and a little bit less occupied, and I think maybe I just took a different path today, or maybe it's a Saturday so a lot of people are out using it. And I think it's also a matter of knowing the right time and the right place and what to look for. You know, if I came in with a pair of binoculars and spent a lot of time by one of those lakes, I might see a lot more nature. Today was a nice little walk, certainly a nice place to have in a suburban location, but compared to other wildlife refuges like Ankeny or something like that, not quite as much of a nature experience, but I am not complaining. And as I continue along here, this is where I will shift to the video about Washougal.